Hello, my name is Paul Bartlett. I'm a wood turner here in Southwest Florida. I'm doing another video that was coring bowls out of a epoxy and wood combination. I had a project that got damaged in transportation at one time, and I decided to, instead of fixing it, to recycle it. And it was one orderly tangle similar to this, but the tubes had a different design. And it was my first one, didn't come out that good, and so just thought I'd try something different with it. So I cut all the tubes up, put them into a Home Depot bucket, filled it full of epoxy, and turned bowls on the lathe. And I ended up getting 6 bowls, actually 5.5. I'll show you why. And they look like this. This is one of them. This is the medium-sized one. Okay. I added this on the bottom because just to give them a little something added. This was the biggest one. Okay. And this one is about 10 inches in diameter, 5 inches, maybe 6 inches high, the bowl itself. The wall thickness on all of these are somewhere between 3/8 and some of them were down to 1/4 of an inch, which is plenty thick enough for the epoxy. This stuff is really strong. The reason I said 5.5 bowls was this was cut from the outside of my blank, so I ended up with no bottom in it. So I had a old half a bowl here, and I just added that in. So you can kind of see that, but I got a nice little bowl out of it. The video will show me cutting the stuff up and pouring it, putting in the pressure pot, and when I start to core it, things kind of went wrong. And this epoxy is liquid glass, which is a product I hadn't used before. It's from the same company that I use for my other epoxy. But this hardness, it is so much more brittle and hard that when I got my cutter in there, it started to chip and jump. Plus, I didn't have my cutter support right. I noticed that afterwards. So all you're going to see is the very beginning of me turning this, and then you need to watch. I have another video that will look the same, where I core out these bowls. So, and I will reference that when as a note in the video when I get to that point. So that's what my latest is. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching. Okay, I'm cutting these all up into about 1.25 inch length in pieces. I'm putting them in the bucket. My bucket's starting to get full here. That's what we want. I'm going to have to clean out the insides of some of these, but shouldn't be too bad. So that's kind of the first step we're doing here. Got a few left to do. Keep watching. Okay, these are all the pieces that I cut up from my other project, trying to salvage something. This Home Depot, this bucket here is about 7 inches deep. So I'm trying to get a blank that's somewhere between 6 and 7 inches that I can turn some bowls out of. And I'm going to use the liquid glass from Fiberglass Coatings in St. Petersburg, Florida. You can buy it on Amazon, or you can buy it directly from them. And it's a deep pour, so it says you can pour 2 to 4 inches thick. It even said 6 inches on their website. I'm going to try to pour like 3 inches and do two pours. I'll put it in my pressure pot in between each pour. So I'm going to mix epoxy up now. We'll pour it in there, get the pressure pot ready, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, I'm ready to mix my epoxy, just to show you again, which is what I'm using. Part A, the resin itself. Part B is the accelerator hardener. The package I bought gives you one of these and 2 of the 1 gallon, 2 to 1 mix. So I'm going to start by putting in the hardener. I'm going to mix up, I've got like 20 ounce, or what are they? These are 18 ounce cups. I'm going to mix up about 15 ounces, and I've got 3 cups ready. I'm going to mix them and pour one at a time so I can see if I need that 3rd one or not. And so here we go. Put a little line on the cup for the 15 and the 5 and the 15 are. So I'll go up to 5 with my there's 5 of that. It's a little sloppy there. And I'm going to go to 15 with this. It's pretty important to get this 2 to 1 equal. This has a 72-hour set time, so once I do a pour, I'm going to leave it in the pressure pot. It'll in overnight and check it the next day, and see, or maybe later in the day. to see if I can pour the second one. If it's starting to set, I can pour the second one. Now I gotta mix it up. Okay, I'm gonna pour this in here now. Because it's a deep pour and a slow cure, I'm going to, there's no problem letting it set here while I mix up the next batch or two. Okay, I poured, believe it or not, 90 ounces in here, and it's only half full. So now I'm going to put that in the slow turner. I mean in the pressure pot, and let it set overnight. Got a little makeshift handle here. I have the top of the Home Depot bucket, the lid in the bottom just in case I get some overflow, but I certainly shouldn't. Now, just in case things want to float in there, I don't think they are, they don't seem to be, but I'm going to hold them down. This is you buy these little plastic sheets, 2 for $1 at the flea markets around, and the epoxy does not stick to them, comes right off. So I'm going to lay that on the top of the pieces. This is just a little caul plate I'm going to put in on top of that. And then I have my heavy chuck here. I'm just going to put that in to weight things down. Probably all unnecessary, but I don't like taking chances. So now we'll put the cover on. I have a little white mark where that goes. This is a 5-pound pressure pot from California Air Tools. They're available, I think, Woodcraft. Amazon has them for, I don't know what they are, a little over $200 something, under 300. All set up, ready to go. I have another one. It's a 3-gallon. It seems though every time I wanted to use it, it wasn't big enough. So, important thing about these pressure pots is when you tighten them down, I just snug that up. You do it sequentially, and you don't over tighten, because if you do, you might just bend the lid a little bit. So these have nice big handles on them. I see people put wooden blocks on there and horse them down. That's only going to cause you trouble, because you're gonna work the cover. This one works good. My other one, my Harbor Freight converted one I have, worked good because I never forced the cover. So now let's put some air pressure in it. Find my air hose here. Here we go, right here. Shut it off first so I don't blow a blast of air down. I take this up to about 55. Really won't go any further. Okay, just taking this out of the pressure pot. I did it in 2 pours. Took probably a gallon and a half at least, a little over. Much more than I expected, but looking at it here from the top, it doesn't look too bad. Let's see if I can get it out of here and we'll take a look at it. That comes out of there pretty easy. Okay. Doesn't look too bad, I can see. It looks like some voids here. Probably that was probably at my first pour. So I think I got what I want here. It looks, I can fill this up. That may even come out of there with my biggest bowl. So stay tuned and we'll see what we can do with this on the lathe in a few days. Okay, I put this on the lathe and chewed it up a little bit, squared off the face. The face of it was really pretty rough. So I wrap some Gorilla Tape around here, let it stick up about an inch, and I poured another 3/4 of an inch or more epoxy in there and put it back in a pressure pot, and now it's so what's going to happen is the tops of my bowls will have a half to 3/4 of an inch of clear rim around them. I think that's going to work better than having some of the pieces of the wood, the tubes sticking up, and so we'll see. Just wanted to let you know that I did a little addition on there. Okay, I've got my blank chewed up on here and ready to core it out. This is very similar to the video I did on the first blank that I cored out, so I'm not going to redo a lot of that, but I do want to explain one other thing. I realized it wasn't quite that clear, and it was how I'm trying to get these bowls out of here, and I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to get a couple more on the outside here that won't be as deep. But for this cutter here, I decided I want to try to keep these at a 1/2 inch wall, and on the depth. So I laid it out on a piece of paper where I wanted these. So the dark spot is the 3/8 cutter, and then the light spot is my 1/2 inch bowl. A little hard to see on some of these, but there's the cutter. So you got a bowl, a bowl, a bowl, and a little bowl in the middle here. So what I did is I laid those out, and then I figured the depth I wanted on them, and that's kind of up to you what you want. So I drew it up on CAD, and this is bowl 1, and this is the 3/8 cutter, bowl 2, 3/8 cutter, and bowl 3, and so on. And then I did my depth to the outside of the cutter, which was 1 7/8 inches, and 2 3/4 here, and that leaves me about a 1/2 inch on the bottom also. So what I didn't explain in the other video is for this cutter, this 9-inch cutter, use a 10-inch diameter. So you draw a 10-inch circle, and you move that circle until it intersects with this point and this point. That's the outside of your cutter. Okay, and you do that for each one, and then you find the center of the circle. Now we have a circle around here, and all those circles are 10-inch diameter. And each one of them intersects this. So then you take the center of the circle, which is, I make a little mark here, that is the center of the circle, and then I measure it from the surface of my cutter to surface of my blank to my center line of my pivot, and it gives me these numbers here. So I move this around until I get my cutter like that, and the center of my pivot to here is, on this first one, is almost 2.5 inches. Numbers don't have to be perfect, but 2.5 inches will work. So I hope that clears it up. It probably didn't, probably confused you even more, but email me if you can't figure it out. I'll try to explain it. Okay, I'll put a face shield on here, and we'll try the first one. When I get through these first 3 bowls, then I'm going to switch cutters. I now have the 11.5 inch cutter. So we'll redo my drawing for that one. About 600 RPM. that good? Don't know why that's.